Dust choked the air, thick with the sweat of terrified men. The once proud legions of Rome, symbols of order and might, dissolved into a panicked rout. Legionaries, weighed down by their armor, stumbled across the dry plains of Thrace. Behind them, the guttural roars of Gothic warriors echoed across the battlefield, a symphony of victory over an empire in its twilight. The sun, a fiery orb in the summer sky, beat down on the fleeing Romans. This was a far cry from the parades of triumph through the streets of Rome. This was defeat, raw and terrifying. The Battle of Adrianople, a clash of civilizations, would forever scar the Roman psyche. For more tales from history, like and subscribe to History Warfare. To understand the disaster at Adrianople, we must turn back the clock. By the late 4th century AD, the Roman Empire, once vast and invincible, was a shadow of its former self. Internal strife, economic woes, and relentless pressure from barbarian tribes on its borders had brought the once mighty empire to its knees. Among the many threats Rome faced, the Goths, a Germanic people displaced by the westward push of the Huns, posed a significant challenge. Seeking refuge within Roman borders, the Goths appealed to Emperor Valens for asylum. It was a decision that would have catastrophic consequences. Allowed to cross the Danube River and settle in Roman territory, the Goths, known as the Visigoths, soon found themselves at the mercy of corrupt Roman officials. Promised food and land in exchange for their loyalty, the desperate Goths instead faced extortion and abuse. Their plight, ignored by a distant and uncaring emperor, grew increasingly desperate. Resentment simmered, eventually boiling over into open rebellion in 376 AD. The Visigoths, their patience exhausted, rose up against their Roman oppressors. What began as a local uprising quickly escalated into a full-blown revolt, threatening the stability of the entire Eastern Roman Empire. A fatal decision. News of the Gothic rebellion reached Emperor Valens, who was preoccupied with campaigns in the east. Recognizing the gravity of the situation, Valens decided to return west and personally confront the Goths. However, consumed by pride and a desire for glory, Valens made a fatal error. He chose to engage the enemy immediately upon his arrival, rejecting the advice of his generals to await reinforcements. Valens, blinded by his desire to crush the rebellion swiftly and decisively, underestimated the strength and determination of the Gothic forces. His haste would prove to be his undoing. The stage was set for one of the most significant battles in Roman history, a clash that would change the course of the empire forever. The empire falls at Adrianople. The Roman army, marching under the scorching August sun, finally met the Visigoths near the city of Adrianople on August 9, 378 AD. The Roman legions, confident in their superior numbers and discipline, prepared for battle. However, the Goths, led by their cunning warlord Fritigern, had a plan. The Gothic cavalry, utilizing hit-and-run tactics, harassed the Roman lines, while their infantry, armed with deadly swords and axes, waited for the opportune moment to strike. The Roman cavalry, hampered by the heat and dust, faltered, leaving the legions vulnerable. Seeing their opportunity, the Goths unleashed a devastating assault, shattering the Roman lines and sending the imperial army into a chaotic retreat. Section 6. Legacy of Defeat. The Battle of Adrianople was a catastrophe for the Roman Empire. Emperor Valens, his army shattered, perished on the battlefield, marking the first time in over 4 centuries that a Roman emperor had fallen in battle against a foreign enemy. The defeat sent shockwaves throughout the empire, exposing the vulnerability of Rome to its barbarian enemies. Adrianople marked a turning point in Roman history, signaling the beginning of the empire's slow but inevitable decline in the west. The battle also highlighted the rising power of the Germanic tribes, who would play an increasingly dominant role in the affairs of the collapsing empire. The memory of Adrianople, a stark reminder of Roman vulnerability, would forever haunt the empire's psyche. If you enjoyed this story, like and subscribe to History Warfare for more tales from history.